Hi there. Today, music gear market. 80s analog Roland synthesizers. That's a mouthful. The good, the bad, the ugly. And above all else, price. Let's get on with it. Here we are at our first synthesizer, the Roland Jupiter 8. Now, personally, I think a good price for a Roland Jupiter 8 should be about $8,000, maybe $10,000 if it's in excellent condition. $31,000 is ridiculous. And the market does not agree with my pricing. They say that one of these synthesizers should run you at least $20,000. Let's see what we've got here. And here is one for around about $20,000. It's in Belgium. Let's take a peek at it. It's from, is this TurnLab? This is TurnLab. Most of the units I've seen from these folks are in good condition. This one does look in pretty good shape. Looks like it has all the original knobs on it. All the original buttons. Now, one thing I've noticed here is you can see how these are all colored here, different colors. I think it's on the 6 that they're all purple. It's kind of interesting that they changed that up. Okay, so we've got a little something going on back here. I'm not sure what that button is. That is not a standard button that I'm aware of that was ever on a Jupiter 8. You'd have to read the description to find out what that's doing there. These side panels are reminiscent of the XV88. It has aluminum side panels. Interestingly, I have an upcoming episode called Is an XV88 an Inexpensive Jupiter 8? You may want to watch that when I put it out. This front panel does look clean. Come on, there's got to be something wrong here I can find with it. No, looks pretty clean. Well, we're just going around in circles. A lot of times on these Jupiter 8s, you'll find that the Jupiter 8 logo up here, the silk screening is cracking, and that's a sign that it's seen some pretty heavy wear. There's a little bit of something going on with this silk screening here. This one's in nice shape. This wouldn't be a bad option if you really want a Jupiter 8 and you're willing to pay $20,000. I would say the condition is very good to excellent. Let's see if we can find one in the US. Let's see what we got. Portland, Oregon. Okay, this one says that it is in excellent condition also. It's $23,000 plus. You can see that the LED is at least working on this side. It's probably working on that side too. But you'd want to check on that. Might be something there. Or that might just be a reflection. Does look pretty clean. I'm not really seeing any major problems here. This might be in, oh, here's the problem. It's a Japanese model. It was meant for the Japanese market. So it's a 100-volt model. See what else we can find. San Leandro, California. This is about 60, 70 miles from where I live. It looks like the silk screening here is a little bit worn. Other than that, the front panel looks pretty clean. I don't know if that's a shadow or something we should worry about. There's lots of, no, there's not a lot of pictures here. That little crazy button is not on this one. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe a reset button that somebody created. I'm not sure. Here we can get a better look at this silk screening, and we can see that There is some wear on it. Some minor scratches here, nothing terribly bad. That looks like it's pretty deep and might go through to the metal, and there might be some rust starting there. Some scratching down there. But all in all, this is a pretty clean synthesizer. All right, let's move on. Jupiter 6. $9,999. I think a good value on a Jupiter 6 is somewhere between $4,500 and $5,000. I wouldn't pay any more than that. I'm not in the market for a Jupiter 6, but if I were, that's about what I would look at. $5K would be my limit. And I've seen them around about that price. But $9,000 is ridiculous, even in excellent condition. Let's see what we have here. Here's one. Very good. Nashville, Tennessee, $4,800. Okay, we got some scuffing, something that looks more than scuffing here. Quite a bit of the finish is gone here. That is not an original Jupiter 6 knob. That looks like it came off a Jupiter 4. So, yeah, I would ask about that. I don't think that's the original. In fact, I'm 100% sure it is not. This looks pretty clean. A little something going on here and something there. Before I would buy any of these synths, I would ask for lots of pictures that are close-up views of the entire keyboard in sections so that I can check it out. That looks like it might be a dent. So I would definitely ask about that. It's hard to tell if that is straight and level. I would always also ask about that. Did this fall off the wall at some time and hit right here? We don't get a lot of pictures because it's up on the wall. Did they take it off the wall? They did take it off the wall. Okay, we got some scuffing, some minor scrapes on the back. Nothing too serious. This one looks in what I would say good condition. I think very good is a stretch. But it's priced right for a Jupiter 6 if you're in the market for a Jupiter 6. Let's move on. Juno 60. Okay, we have one here that's in mint condition. That's in Italy for almost $7,000. I think a good price on a 60 is somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000, maybe $2,500. And you can find them around about $2,500, sometimes a little bit less. We got a second page. That should be helpful. You can see they're not rare. There's plenty of them. So where's our first one? So a little bit less than my $2,500 price, $2,250. It is local pickup only. Very good condition. Something going on with the finish here. It should be a little glossier than that. So maybe it was in a basement and it got moldy and the shininess wore off on the finish or something when it was cleaned. The end caps look in pretty good shape. I think both the 6 and the 60 both use these wooden end caps. And I believe they're like particle board with a veneer of this wood grain over them. And they can get really torn up. And right here we have, let's see, a pretty good picture. I think we went all the way around. Nope, here we go. That looks pretty clean. Be nice if it was on so we can make sure the display is working. There's a few scrapes here, but this is pretty good for one of these end caps. I've seen them where they're really ratty. Now, this one's got some more wear on it. I would call this fair to good for an end cap, because some of them can really just look like they've been chewed up by a overzealous rat. Something about the finish, though, it's duller than it should be. That might be a dent there. And there is some stuff going on in here, scrapes and scratches. Let's see. You'd have to read the description, but the price is right on this one. If you lived in Boston, Massachusetts, you could go there and take a peek at that one. Or if you lived in that neighborhood. Let's see. Virginia, very good. Very good. Excellent. Let's take a look at excellent. 2,800. That's still in my range of 2 to 3K. This looks like it has more wear on these end caps, but the finish looks better on it. Well, this one's not too bad. A few little scuffs. Definitely more happening here. It looks like something took a chunk out of this bottom part. It's not necessarily going to affect functionality unless it took a hit. Property of Mark Miller. Well, it won't be if you buy it. That one doesn't look bad, and it's in the price range. Let's see what else we got. North Hollywood, California. Let's give that a shot. End caps look very clean, but from this distance, everything looks clean. Looks like there might be something going on in that corner. Yeah, something's going on there. And here. A few little hiccups down here. This top panel looks a lot better, a lot more glossy. And the LFO trig button looks white. A lot of these look very yellowed after time. Little something going on there, but nothing that's probably going to affect functionality. Let me just go back one time. Doesn't look like we're missing any caps. Want to make sure that all the buttons work. That end cap looks really good. I'm wondering if that's original. That looks like a piece of wood. It doesn't look like the veneer. I think those might have been replaced. Back panel looks pretty clean. And some scuffing here. A few little chunks. Maybe not. That does look like particle board underneath. Little bite out on that side. It is a 40-year-old keyboard. And they certainly did give you plenty of pictures. I don't understand some people selling some devices here for $10,000, $20,000 and they give you 2 pictures. That's just ridiculous. Some scuffing there, but the overall finish looks better. Some of the other ones that we looked at. I don't think that's an original potentiometer cap for that. I may be wrong, but I don't think that's the original. Anyway, I don't think we need to go any further with the Juno 60. Next up, the venerable Juno 106, $5,000. Okay, a good price for one of these is anywhere from about $1,000 to $1,500. That's kind of the going rate, and you can find ones in excellent condition in that price range. Remember, they made 40,000 Juno 106s. And that's why there's so many here. And there's the Juno 106S with speakers, and there's the HS60, which is just a different version of it that also has speakers. So let's see if we can find one closer to our $1,000 price. Maybe not. Let's see. $1,199, and you can make an offer. One VCA VCFIC is hanging, will likely need to be replaced. That's their opinion. For all you know, it's a deeper problem than that. I just don't want to look at this. You can take a peek at it if you wish. Okay, let's look at one in the US. Do we have one in the US? Edgewater, New Jersey. Let's see what we've got here. Looks in pretty good shape. A nice blurry picture of the same view. Okay, that doesn't really help me much. I can't base a decision to buy something off of crappy pictures like that, and you shouldn't either. Very good at Rogue Music. Let's see, did they give us a decent number of pictures? One picture, and it looks scuffed up, and yeah, pass. West Sacramento, very good. Comes with a soft case by the look of it. Hopefully there's some upfront close pictures of it. Looks pretty good. Looks like it has all the original caps. Back panel looks pretty. This looks like it might be a Japanese model. And it looks like it's been replaced with a 3-prong plug, which is not a bad thing. But those look like the Japanese characters of A. And it's pretty scratched up on the bottom. That key is slightly lower. That is troubling. I think we'll skip this one. These are things you just have to look for and have a keen eye. Wichita Falls, Texas. As Wichita Falls, so falls Wichita Falls. Do you know what movie that came from? That looks like a scratch right there. It's just on the end cap, but sometimes you can buy these end caps because people like to put wood end caps on them and then they sell the plastic ones in really nice condition. But you can't guarantee that. Yeah, that's some kind of a scratch. But the overall condition here is very good to excellent. A little bit of dust. If this is in working condition, got a tiny little thing going on there, some other little things. This is in good working shape. The finish here is degraded. Something is going on here. I don't know if it was water, was kept in a moist environment. This is a little bit concerning here. If you look at and see how this is discolored here, when you see that on a finish like this, it shouldn't be like that. Something's going on here. But I don't see any rust on these components. So it's hard to say why it's like that. You can see how it's got some pitting here. Something caused that. And I'd be concerned about what it is. And it looks like it runs a fair length of this. Did it overheat? The power supply, I believe, is on this end. Is it on this end? Yes, I think it's on that end, yes. Yeah, it's going all the way across here. I wonder if it's tape residue, maybe? Somebody had a big strip of tape across there. I don't know. The whole thing is worrying. These are not the original Roland chips. They don't look like them to me. We'll have to read the description. These are, but these are the voice chips, and they're not. Let's see, what was that last picture I missed? So there's the battery. See what they did with the chips. I think the chips were replaced. It has been recently serviced, in which the voice chips were replaced as well as the battery. There's a little rust bubbling up on the back of the chassis. That wasn't a little rust. That was a lot of rust, if that's rust under there. And you have to wonder what kind of environment this was kept in for it to have that much rust. I would say keep looking. Used excellent. Well, that's in Taipei. Pensacola, very good. Used excellent, 1600. Philadelphia, PA. Well, it's local pickup, but let's take a peek at it. That looks like it might have been resprayed. These are supposed to be black. Looks like somebody sprayed it gray. Not horrendously a problem, but you wonder what else they've done to it. The silk screening looks practically new. I wonder if they resprayed the whole unit and redid the silk screening. That's possible. Appears to be a US unit. Back panel looks very clean. I'd like some close-up pictures here, but from what we can see, it looks very good. Now these look black here. So maybe they are just black. Maybe that angle and maybe there was a flash bounce off of it made them look gray. See, they do look gray there, but here they clearly look black. Just read this really quickly. Barely used, blah, blah, blah. Replacing the power jack with a new universal jack. Yes, I saw that. It's not a two-pronger. They have a three-pronger on there now. They replaced the voice chips with analog Renaissance clones. From what I hear, a lot of the clone chips sound very good and they sound just fine. You're not going to be able to tell much of a difference, if any. This might be the one to buy. $1,600. It's local pickup only if you live out on the East Coast. All right, let's move on. Jupiter 4. I've always had a soft spot for the Jupiter 4. I think a fair price is about $2,500, but they go for about $5,000 on the low end. Well, if we can find one for that price, maybe. Maybe not. 5123, that's pretty close. But it's in Mexico. It says it's in mint condition. Let's take a peek at it. Usually what happens on these is it's these end caps that really get worn and show their age first. And that one looks pretty good. And the face looks pretty good too. You want to make sure all these buttons work so you can use the arpeggiator. The end caps really look remarkable. They do say mint condition. That does look nice. Huh, what's that? That is something. Something is going on here. Maybe it started to come off because this is a veneer on top of particle board, if I remember correctly, just like on the Juno 6 and the Juno 60. And maybe it started to peel off and they re-glued it. But you could ask for a separate picture of that. There's the memory and the presets. And this one has MIDI in. I don't know how they did that. That would be interesting. There's the arpeggiator. It's in very nice shape, this unit. They say mint. I would say yes, it's in very good to or excellent to mint condition. For the age, this is what, 78 to 82, and it has MIDI on it. If you're a collector, you may not want it with MIDI. You may want an original, so it wouldn't be this one, but if you wanted to use this in your studio and you wanted it to integrate with all your other gear, having MIDI could be handy. It's probably simple note on, note off. It's not going to be anything beyond that. Okay, we have one in Australia in excellent condition. Do we have any others in excellent condition? One in Japan. Anything in the US? Excellent. Bradenton, Florida. Let's take a quick peek at that one. Can't see the end caps. The front panel looks good. Anything we're missing here? There's that knob that I think they put on that Jupiter. Back panel looks very clean. That's exceptional. Just have to remember how old this unit is. This looks very clean at this distance. Hopefully they got some up close pictures. I don't think they do. We've only got 3 pictures. That's it. If you were interested in one of these units, this is a US based unit. It's in Bradenton, Florida. $7,000. Wouldn't be for me at that price. But if you're in the market for it, you could give them a call. Just because they're not saying that they're taking offers doesn't mean you can't send them a message and ask them, you know, would you take $4,500? They'd probably counter with something. Or they might just tell you no. Next up, Roland JX3P. You know, this is not one of my favorite Roland scents. It's one of my least favorite, but I did make it #1 on my second list of older bargain keyboards. I think a fair price for a JX3P in very good to excellent condition would be somewhere around, well, maybe between $600 and $700. Let's see what we got here. I've seen them less than that, but usually they're in really bad shape. Okay. Yeah, like this one here. Now that one's, I said $600 to $700. This one's $650 basically, and it's got 4 missing keys. You could probably source these keys from a vendor like SYNTHESIZERS, but you're looking at $12 to $14 a key, and then you're looking at shipping, and they don't necessarily always have every key. Remember, different keys are different shapes. Some keys are the same shape, like the A key and the D key are the same shape. And there's some others that are the same. So you have to make sure that you could source them. But probably a fair price for this is $300, and they might sell it to you for that. Providing everything is functional in the unit and there's no mechanical problems here. It's just the keys are broken. Might be a decent deal. Let's just take a quick look. Sometimes these are Japanese units. Front panel's not too bad. A little thing here. It looks like it goes all the way through to the metal. That's rusting. Some other minor things going on. These are just holes. What's going on there? That's weird. Wow, that's some pretty heavy scuffing there. You could use a little wood putty and respray them, but you'd want to respray both of them so they look the same. Back panel looks pretty decent. Remember, you can program these from the front panel. It is a US model, but they're very hard to program without a PG200, which is the programmer you use with these. This silk screening here helps a little bit. There's no LED display or even an LCD display. These buttons here have little LEDs that light up to tell you what's going on when you're programming it. It's kind of a nightmare to program from the front panel, which is another reason why I'm not really a fan of these keyboards. Here's one essentially for a penny more, and it's in Clinton, New Jersey, in very good condition. And it's not suffering from the broken key issue. You know, there's plenty of little scuffs to be expected. 40-year-old device on a budget device. On more expensive keyboards like the Jupiter 4, people tend to take better care of them. I think that's just a hair, but it might be a scratch. Got a little gash there. Got a knob missing. You might be able to source that from Cintar. If not, then you can probably just find something on Amazon that looks close. You've also got a fader cap missing there. So it's a little bit of a problem. Some scuffs, but nothing too bad. It's hard to find these units in really great shape. There may be one or two in here, but they're not going to be worth the premium that you would pay for them. Making this very obvious. You want to read all the dialogue and make sure that the fader is actually working. See what they have. Sometimes you can find them with the programmer included. And there's some aftermarket programmers. So this one says fair and it includes the programmer. Are there any other back here? No. We'll just look at this one because it says very good and it has the PG 200. See what one looks like in good shape. This one appears to have the slider. Notice there aren't a lot of controls on here, just mostly these buttons here, which you're going to use to do the programming usually, but in this particular case you have the PG 200, so that is going to help. This one looks in pretty clean shape. Comes with a case. I wonder if they're willing to ship this. I didn't look at that before we started looking at it. Might be some rust around these buttons, these screws here. Not bad shape for the years it is. On something like this, I always wish they take a picture with the PG 200 here and also without it here. You end up getting it and you find out they used double-sided Velcro on it, and somebody did that previously and it maybe have torn off a bunch of the finish. Just like to know what's underneath there, but we're not getting that picture. Get the little plastic box with it that Roland supplied, which is kind of nice. There's your manual. So this is not a bad choice. The PG 200 alone can go from $400 to $600. What are they asking here? $1132, so that puts the device right around $732 if you consider $400 for the programmer. At this point, you're in Juno 106 territory and a lot of other synths that you might be interested in. But that's probably a fair price and it's in pretty good shape. Next up, Roland JX8P, another synth that I always liked. I prefer the 10 better, but the JX8P is a pretty cool machine. Not $1,900 cool. I would say probably $550 to $650 is a good price for one of these. Let's see what they're saying. $550 to $650. We'll avoid this one since it's in Japan. Okay, here's one here. $650. It's right at $650. JP in great condition, works beautifully, some cosmetic flaws. Now this is something to know about the JX8P and the JX10. They share some of the components for these sliders here and the bender and the display, I believe, and the cartridge slot. But the biggest problem with these is the finish. This is essentially an entirely plastic instrument. And these basic end caps here and this finish starts to degrade heavily over time. And you can see this is definitely showing that kind of wear. It's hard to find ones that are in really good shape as far as the finish on them. It may function perfectly as an instrument, but it's going to have flaws in the finish. Mostly up here. It just started to degrade for some reason. Maybe they didn't do it very well at the factory. Let's see if we can find one in better shape. It's not going to be easy. This one says very good. It's in Quebec. Bonjour, mes amis. Here we go. Let's take a look. Some finish issues over here too, but this one looks maybe a little bit better. Yeah, you can see this is really worn there. Some scrapes, more wearing down here. Some significant space between these keys. I wonder if these were replaced with keys that weren't the originals. Something to take note of. I don't think there should be that much space. Anyway, at least the spring-loaded cover for the cartridge is still there. Should have used a little bit more light. There's definitely some scratches and some finish problems up here and here. And if we had more light, it would probably be even worse than we can see. And you can see some stuff going on here and something happened there. Got a back panel one. I think we could do better. Just look at one more. See if we can find one in excellent condition. Providence Sound, Vision, Los Angeles. All right, it says excellent condition. Let's see what they call excellent. Well, hopefully they got some close-up shots. That looks better. We can see there's a little wear here, but this one, the finish on it looks in much better condition. We still got a few issues. Like I said, look for this both on the JX 8P and also on the JX10. Silk screening still looks pretty good over here, so that'll help with programming. I believe this uses the PG800. Was there one with a PG800? Yep. Very good condition. And how much were they asking for that? $1,600. Yeah, PG800 is worth about $600, but I don't know. That puts the machine at $1,000. I just don't know if I would pay that kind of money. At that kind of price point, you should be looking at a JX10. And speaking of that, the JX10, not worth almost $3,000. I think a good price for one of these is about $900. I'm not sure what they're going for these days, but oh, apparently less than that. $799, so that's less than $900. Local pickup only. Okay, you have to press the right button in a certain way, probably like close to one of the edges or something. Once again, condition on the fascia of this instrument. Something going on here. Maybe it had some tape residue, or it's just worn off where somebody was holding on to the end of it. Like I said, this is very typical of these instruments. At least we can see the display is working. It's nice when people turn it on. I don't know if this is an electric piano or if a portion of the display is missing. I would ask on that. That is concerning. And remember, if you take some of this tape off, it may take the finish off with it. Get a case with it. So this was probably local pickup only, I think. Maybe I already said that. All right, so let's see what else we can find. It was local pickup only. Is there one in excellent condition? Very good. It's in Japan. Here's one in New York. It is $2,000, but it does have the retroactive PG800, which is an aftermarket knockoff of the PG800. Let's see what the condition is on this. Some minor scuffing, some dust, something going on there. Let's take a look. But overall, pretty good. There's some stuff going on here, but this does look pretty decent. Hopefully there's some top panel close-up photos. Display looks correct. And this is an electric piano, not an electric pian. So that's a plus. There's the PG800 knockoff. Yeah, the finish on this looks a lot better. And that's not to be taken for granted. It's degrading a little bit. It's starting, and it will get worse over time. It's going to be unavoidable. If you keep it in a nice air-conditioned house, it should be just fine for a while. I do like the fact that these have raised buttons, and the JX8P has the membrane switches. I just don't like membrane switches. Yep, that's in pretty good shape. Like I said, I like to see what's under the programmer just to make sure nothing is going on under there. Okay, we got a scrape across the keyboard here. It's not going to affect functionality, but unless they say it does. Moving on, the Alpha Juno 1. So not worth $821. I would say $350 to $400 is a good price. $350. Well, that one is $245. What's wrong with it? LCD's not working. Okay, well, let's skip that one. We don't buy other people's problems if we're smart. $585 or make an offer, and I said $400 to $500. You're getting free shipping, and shipping would be probably $60 to $80, so that puts it round about $500. It's in Japan though, so we'll skip that one. We have one in Sweden. For our Swedish friends, we'll take a quick look. What do we got here? Got something going on here. Now this also has membrane buttons, which I don't like. It's also only 4 octaves. The Alpha Juno 2 is a much better keyboard. But these are kind of cute, and a lot of people like them. You know, it's affordable. This one looks pretty clean, other than a few little blemishes I took note of. But I don't think I'd pay $588. To be sure, from what I've heard from people in the comments, is things are more expensive in Europe. We're lucky here in the US, we seem to get a price break. So this one says excellent, free shipping, and make an offer. So not much more than that. And maybe if you offered $500, the only problem with offering $500 on something like this is that you're starting to get into you are in Juno 2 territory at that point. Front panel looks pretty clean. This is another one where the finish, like the JX8P and the JX10, can be degraded. It's an all plastic unit. Does look pretty clean. I would like some close-up pictures to make sure the finish is better, but you could ask for those if you're interested in this. Let's go on to the Alpha Juno 2. The PG300 is the programmer you'd want to use. I think a good price on one of these is probably $500 to $600. Let's see what they say. $499. Well, that's $500 to $600. Whoa. $175 for shipping. Well, that's coming from Japan. So let's skip that, and for $1 more, but way too much in shipping, we can get this one from LA. Let's skip that one. That's good. This one's very good, and this one's cheaper. I know this one is $500, but it's $150 for shipping. Yes, you can make an offer, but you can make an offer on this one, and there's free shipping. See, like I said, I would skip the Alpha Juno ones and go for the Juno 2, unless you specifically want a Juno 1. It's 4 octaves instead of 5. So here we have a 5-octave keyboard. This is just the better unit. This looks pretty clean. We got something going on here, something going on here. Let's go back to the other end. Did I miss anything here? Little something. The finish on these, like I said, just like the JX8P and the JX10. Got something going on here. The finish is degrading a little bit. It's 40 years old. You got to expect that. Want to make sure that all these membrane switches work. Got some edge scuffing here. I'm not exactly sure what they're showing us here. They've put some tape on some keys. Usually that's an indication that the keys are not working. I bought it with a few dead keys, but I probably used the external sequencer, so it wasn't an issue. About a year ago, I took it apart, cleaned and dusted the inside, cleaned every key. By hand inspected all copper tracks, cracks were intact, all springs are intact, in-row pads. And all keys now function perfectly. Okay. Hopefully if it holds up and the person did a good job on it. $575 is not a bad price for this keyboard. You can make an offer. You could offer them $450 and settle on $475, and you got free shipping if you lived locally. You might be able to offer even less and get away with it. Let's move on. Roland SH101, $7,500. This one, gold finish. Okay, they modify, they sprayed all the keys. Waste of money. I don't care how it looks. Does it sound like an SH101? That's ridiculous. $7,500. I think a fair price on these is $700 to $800, but they go for at least $1,200. And if you can find one for $1,200, that's probably not bad. But see what we got. $1,274. Okay, this is in New Haven, United Kingdom. See how it looks. Looks like there's something going along with the modulator here. The silk screening's wearing off, and this looks a little faded. Also, I think that's supposed to say clock or something, and that looks faded. This looks faded too, and the bottom of that. So some of the silk screening looks like it's gotten worn. I don't know why that is. If you put something like this into a soft bag and it gets shaken around a lot on a trip, stuff like this can happen. So, but an advantage of buying this, even though it's in England and shipping would be expensive, is you could buy the Boss 9-volt power supply for the US and plug it in here and it would work perfectly. Or you could take off this back cover. This cover right here comes off and the batteries go inside. Hopefully there's another view of that we can see. Yep, you can definitely see that that is faded. That's really unfortunate because for the rest of the instrument, it looks in very nice shape. Something going on there. Maybe a gash or something. It's hard to see. This is a little faded. So is the bottom of that. I'd like to know what that is. Can't really see it there. There's the battery compartment. Takes 6 cells. This person likes photography. Can definitely see that's really faded. LFO clock rate. You know, that's just sad. 6 C cells go in right there. The back is very clean. This is where the modulator grip attaches, and it has one guitar button, and then the other guitar button attaches there. Sometimes people do this so that they can identify it if it gets stolen, or that might have just happened. Something going on there. Looks like a little divot that happened. And this is fading again. So is all the silk screening. That's just Strange. Some light wear to the buttons. Nothing too bad. Something going on there. Ah, there's that little gash. Could tell it was something. Now I see it up close. It's a little bit more than what I thought it was. You know, but it's not going to affect functionality unless they tell you. So it's not too bad. Let's see what else we got. Excellent. $16.50. We'll just look at this one. They say make offer, and remember there's tons of them here. Maybe if you offer them $1,000, they won't take it. Or maybe if you offer them $1,000, they will. The silk screening definitely looks better on this one. If you want a red one. I always like the gray, but it's the one that I had. Red's cool too. Probably looks cool on stage. Comes with a case. That's a nice addition. Ah, this is a big plus. You get the modulation grip and the embossed Roland guitar strap. So for $1,600, that's pretty good. And you get the case. It looks like somebody sprayed it to match. So not bad. I would say that if you're in the market for an SH-101, I'd check out all the text to make sure it's in 100% working condition. This might be an interesting one to make an offer on. I would say offer $10.50, settle on maybe $12.50. I think if you got it for that price, unless the market just bottoms out, you could probably buy it, own it for a while. If you treated it well, you could probably sell it for what you paid for it. But, you know, there's never any guarantees. I thought that when Behringer released their version that it was going to bottom this market out. I see a lot of units on here, and we don't know if they're selling or not. They're certainly not selling at $7,000. That's just crazy. It's not the most expensive one I've seen or the most ridiculous price. I'll put that up later on for you to take a peek at. Okay, last but not least, the Juno 6. Always liked the Juno 6. Of the Juno 6, the 60, and the 106, I think the 6 probably sounds the best. This has a MIDI retrofit on it. That'll allow it to integrate into your studio better if you really rely on MIDI, which is what I do. Modifying a classic instrument like this, even with something valuable, can devalue it. I think a good price on one of these is probably $1,500, and I have seen them around about that price. Says that's a Juno 6. $1,500, right at $1,500, perfect. Griffin, Indiana, fair condition. What do they mean by fair? Let's take a quick look here. Here's an as-is Juno 106 up for repair. Okay. I'm not buying somebody else's problems, not on a 40-year-old instrument. I'd much rather pay a little bit more, get something in better condition, and be able to play it when it shows up. $1,788, make an offer. Good condition. Let's take a peek at this. Free shipping. Okay, so that's a plus. That looks like it could be some tape residue, or it could be the finish coming off of the machine. That's weird. Is that blue in there? That should not be blue. That should be a wood veneer. So that's weird. All the caps seem to be on here, the original caps. Yellow faux trigger is a little bit yellow, but not too bad. They tend to yellow up. These buttons tend to really turn yellow. That should not be blue. I'm pretty sure of that. It should be a wood grain, and it should actually be darker than this. I don't know if these were replaced. The finish here looks damaged. I'm already thinking this is a no. Got some speckling up here where the finish is gone. That looks like it goes through all the way to the metal. And that's always risky. If you live in a humid environment, East Coast, especially places like Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi. And also this should be glossy. And when it's matte like this, it means a lot of the gloss is worn off. That's worrying. That doesn't look blue in there like the other one. That looks wood grained. So that's weird. I don't think these are the original ends. I think somebody made these and put them on, and they have been on there for a while. But I'm not 100% sure. More tape residue on the back. So this may be tape residue then, because this definitely looks like tape residue sitting on top of the surface. So that is probably tape residue. The thing is, they probably tried to take it off. You could use a product like Goof Off to take this off and rub it lightly. Goof Off will take stuff like this off. Sometimes it affects the surface, sometimes it doesn't. If you've never used Goof Off, what you'd want to do is use it on an inconspicuous place somewhere on there and make sure it's not going to damage the finish. And then use it on the to take off this tape. Goof Off will probably take off the silk screening. It may or may not. Looks like they had a big piece of duct tape on here holding something. I don't think we need to go any further. This wouldn't be the one I would buy at any price. Let's see what kind of prices we got. Very good. Front Royal, Virginia. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, this looks pretty good shape. Looks like the LEDs are all lit up. Looks like all the sliders and knobs are original. This is wood grain in here, and this is wood grain veneer. And I believe it's supposed to be wood grain veneer on particle board. So that looks original. LFO trig button doesn't look too yellowed. It's been modified. No, pass on that. You can read about whatever they added here. The thing about this is, yes, it may add some functionality. The problem with it is, if it goes wrong, will you know how to fix it? And you say, well, I'll just take it to a tech. Yeah, at $150 an hour, depending on where you live in the country. But I think I would pass on that. What else do we have? Good. It's a June of 6. It's in Gilbert, Arizona. Let's take a look at this one in Gilbert, Arizona. Got some finish issues. I can't tell if there's a chunk missing out of the edge there. Something going on here. The finish is definitely degraded. It's not shiny, and it should be. Winter Park, Florida. Something going on there. It's hard to see if there's something going on there. Hopefully there's a better picture. All the keys look even. Joystick looks even. All the potentiometer caps are on there. Just a little bit of scuffing. That's actually not bad for as old as this instrument is. I would say that is very good to, or good to very good condition. Usually it looks like a rat came along and ate it. Yeah, so this is not bad at all. Back panel looks pretty clean. Really need to see some. Is this a Japanese model? It is very hard to read what that is. Hopefully there's some close-up pictures. See, that looks like a rat took a few bites out of it. Got some pretty major stuff here. That looks like it goes all the way down to the metal and is rusting. Same thing there. That's a little bit lighter, but still, yep, I was right. It's a 100-volt model. It's a Japanese model, so let's just skip that. Portland, Oregon. Let's take a look at this one. Right off the bat, I can see the end cap here is pretty scuffed up. These were workhorses, and these were relatively affordable cents, especially compared to the Jupiter. I don't think we're going to get a lot of pictures here. Yeah, it's pretty scuffed up. Looks like a rat has taken quite a few chunks out of that. Corrosion on this screw here, rust. And this one's starting to go too, and something going on. I think we should just skip this one, see if we can find something better. Centennial, Colorado. Excellent. $28.95 with $100 shipping. Let's take a look. Well, right off the bat, the end cap looks very nice. Also, we can see there's quite a lot of reflection off the surface. So there's still some gloss to the surface. This end cap has a few minor things going on. It's what I would call excellent for its age. Here we can make that qualification. Now we got a big scratch here. If you go to a furniture store, you can get something that looks like a magic marker, and it's a brown wood pen, and you can use that and just run it down here, and it would probably make it look close to new again. You can get those pens at woodworking stores. You can also get them at places like the Home Depot. I think they have them at the Home Depot and other stores like that, craft stores too. This one is really in great shape. This is excellent shape. Looks like there's a Juno 106 back here too. Looks very good. The keys all look even. All the fader caps look original. This might be the one. Jury's still out yet. We still have to take everything into consideration. But this one really looks in excellent condition. The LFO trig button here doesn't look pure white when you compare it to the keys, but it looks very close. And this is something that can turn more this color after time, and you'll see that on other units that are older. This end cap looks very clean. Looks like there might be something going on there, something small. It's really hard to tell. That just looks like a hair. That looks very clean. That too. This kind of wear to the finish is to be expected. Some of the gloss is coming off. You can see how it's more matte here and more glossy here. It is a 40-year-old instrument. That back panel is very clean. Got a few scuffs here and a little bit of something going on here. A wood pen would, it's like a magic marker, would take care of some of this if it's not too deep. The person listed this as being in excellent condition, and I would agree. This is excellent for its age. A little something there. That looks like it might be some tape residue. No rust on the screws, which is nice. In black and white, it's going to look great, but so that's not really... I wouldn't go any further than this one. If you're looking for a Juno 6, it says fully serviced, whatever fully serviced means. Excellent condition. It is in excellent condition from everything I could see. You would want to read the description. Let's take a quick peek and see what they say. Have you always wanted to buy a Juno 6 with peace of mind? Well, this is your chance to make that a reality. fully functional. I would say excellent condition, especially for its age. And I would agree with them. It's just been fully serviced. Cost me $400. Full inspection, key bed service, replace missing caps, all sliders and knobs serviced, all switches serviced, all contacts cleaned, all buttons serviced, cleaned inside and out. And they're not ripping you off on the shipping. This is reasonable shipping. $100 is very reasonable shipping. It's probably going to cost them at least that, if not a little bit more. And they certainly want to insure it for at least whatever your purchase price is. They will take an offer. Now, I did say that I think a fair price for a Juno 6 is about $1,500. But if I was going to put a range on it, I would say $1,500 to $2,200. And $2,200 being one in excellent condition. I can see paying $2,500 for this, and even paying the shipping as well on top of that. If you are looking for a Juno 6, I think this is an excellent deal right here. Of all the synthesizers we've looked at, well, there are a few others that we found some very nice condition synthesizers. This is certainly one of the best older classic Rolands we've seen. We also saw a couple of very nice Jupiter 4s. Anyway, I wouldn't go any further than this one. This would be the one I would recommend, but you need to speak with the seller, make sure everything is as they say it is. Let me hand you back to the other Jeffrey now to close out this episode. That's it for this episode. Make sure that you check any specs that I've given you if you're interested in buying any of the units that you see in Music Gear Marketplace. I do my best to read the manuals, scour the internet, and scour my brain for knowledge that I have from years of working with this technology. But you should always check for yourself. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in another episode soon.